If you have not heard, when you're in the crouch animation, you will automatically do a rolling attack when you press R1. This is massive for a lot of weapons, especially things like ultra great swords, great spears, great swords that all have decent rolling attacks and generally gain from using their rolling attacks in neutral. Now, unfortunately, there's a problem with this because of the default mapping. It was mapped to left analog stick. The problem with this is that a lot of times you need to turn your character and crouch at the same time. The problem is this sucks to do. And so the past few weeks I've been looking for alternative mappings that would allow you to do this without really hurting your hand or anything like that. And I think I've found some decent solutions, and I'm going to walk you through that in this video. I'm going to present two solutions, one that I very much so prefer and the other not so much, though I feel that it comes up to personal preference, so I'm going to present both just to see what you all think. The first one that I want to present is one that I don't like as much, and that would be to just swap the input for crouch to X and then swap the input for X to left analog stick. That would put Estus and items on your left analog stick, and then things like crouching on the X button. Generally, this works out pretty well. The only downside, though, is you lose a bit of dexterity with items. Though there is one other thing that you need to think about. If you ever want to free aim your crouching attacks, you're going to have to claw, which is the only reason why I don't like it. Like, this is perfectly valid as a way of doing this, and I'm going to change it further because I don't like ever using claw. My preferred setup goes as such. Skill/weapon R is going to be on the X button, crouch is left trigger, and then item is still on left analog stick. In my experience, this has led to the most dynamic play at the easiest cost to my hands. Let's go see how that works. One of the most important things to know how to do when trying to implement crouch attacks into your playstyle is to know how to turn and do a crouch attack at the same time. This is because the netcode in this game is actually really good, and a lot of times you can run out of the range of people's attacks pretty much on reaction. Sometimes yeah, sometimes nah, depends on latency. But when you do this, a lot of times the fastest way to get a punish, especially on things like Ultra, is to run straight away, crouch, then turn around, crouch attack. Doing this on the original button layout is hard. I don't really know what the rest of the community has been experiencing with it, but I dropped a lot of inputs while trying to do that. My accuracy of inputs has like doubled or tripled. Like, I don't drop that anymore, which is fantastic. The next hardest thing that you need to know how to do is how to chain crouching attacks. This is only useful on certain weapons, but doing them one after the other is pretty darn safe, if not perfectly safe, when doing it with things like Ultra or Great Spear. Generally, it's probably the safest options to do after hit, other than the things like roll catching, but you don't always want to do those because people will mash out and then they'll win out doing that. So always having a safe option after landing a hit is awesome. And probably the second best way of using or utilizing the crouch attack in this game. The best being roll catches. The biggest thing that I haven't answered yet is, what do you do if you want to use items or Estus? My workaround for this is just using the Y inputs. I have 4 items, Y down, Y up, Y right, Y left, and that's pretty much enough. That's Estus, blue Estus, and then whatever throwing consumables that you want. Technically, you can still use the left stick to do this as well. It's whatever you're most comfortable with, though. And I think that the input is actually better with 2 buttons versus just 1 button, and that button being a joystick. One caveat being, I really don't use items. Occasionally I use some throwing knives as finishers, but beyond that, nah. So your mileage may just vary. I hope videos like this sort of inspired people to just fiddle with the status quo. Like, you don't have to keep whatever button layout, since it's completely customizable at this point. So, if you liked the video, drop a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.